even again, I mean, there's a lot of orgy type things you're describing here, but doesn't the Bible, just the plain old Bible, doesn't it talk about enlarged members or members the size of horses?
Yes, it does, actually.
I mean, so for those that are, I know that we have a mixture of viewers and listeners of this program. We have some really committed, Christians and some really committed atheists and people in between all over the spectrum. We try to keep the show that way. We're an equal opportunity offender here, but for those in the dogmatic sense, they probably have never ever heard that in their weekly sermon, that there were some guys that didn't need Viagra because, and these guys were animals type of things, and I don't even know how they got I don't know what the other end of it was, I mean, how's, a 4-foot thing go wherever it's going, so, but why don't they, is that type of information, if it wasn't necessary, would it, I mean, even the Catholics didn't take it out, you know what I'm saying? They didn't alter it and say, that was the Pope, he's the guy or whatever, how they do. But, they left it in there. What would be the purpose? Shouldn't regular run-of-the-mill churchgoers know that?
Yeah, those that do their homework and actually do some research and actually read the Bible and have an open mind over what it says, there's all kind of things that are revealed through the Word. I mean, even the fact that giants, that all throughout the Word we have an account of the existence of giants. Mm-hmm. These 6-fingered double rows of teeth, these 8-foot up to 15, and even prior to the flood, they were much taller and much larger. Mm-hmm. We have all these accounting. We have bones. We've got skeletons. We've got skulls. We've got oral traditions, histories. All this cannot be denied. For anybody that does any amount of research into our historical past and the evidence that is available to us through archaeology and all the other geology, you will find that the Bible is confirmed as the word of the Lord, as the truth, the prophecies, everything that is coming out of the word is being verified by the accounting of not only Earth history, but the history of the solar system. Even what is talked about in the Enuma Elish, most people don't understand that whole accounting is an accounting of the solar system, mm-hmm. and how the Lord utilized Nibiru to split Tiamat and move her carcass to where our Earth is right now. We are the remnant of that old planet and that cosmic cataclysm, and most people don't understand why that account is being celebrated as such. The reason being is because it took that cataclysm, Tiamat, one of the moons of Nibiru, striking Tiamat, in order for the Earth to now have its orbit where it is now, and to be placed at the perfect distance to now harbor life, and to begin what became the chapters of life here on this planet. Before then, life wasn't possible.
Well, there's a discussion going on in the live chat about pics. The picture behind me was supposed to be a giant skull, but instead we ended up with Maxine Waters in our background here. John, the hybridization of the human race, I mean, that is a theme that is being generated these days by the scientific community as a plausible reason how there was an apparent leap of the human species more than, say, even a long evolutionary period. So they're agreeing to and proselytizing the idea that aliens may have infused or created or used the Earth as a laboratory of species, and some moved on and some didn't. So wouldn't some of these conversations that we've been having, these statements you guys made, fit actually in and support their theories?
Well, the truth of the matter is that what this is all spoken of in the Scripture, particularly in Second Thessalonians, First Thessalonians. Like for example, God warns that they're going to perpetuate a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have it right here in 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 5. It says, this is Paul talking to the Thessalonians. He says, "Do you not remember that when I was still with you I told you these things, and now you know that what is restraining, that he may be revealed in his time." Now listen, it says, verse 7, "For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work." Stop. That mystery of lawlessness is these grays, these aliens, hybridizing human beings. It's been going on forever. You've got grays. Don't get me going on Truman and the treaty that he did with the grays, and it's out of control. The abductions are potentially in the millions. The chipping of the human race to control mankind through mind control. These chips. If you go to alienscalpel.com, you'll see that these chips are actually have fibers of the nervous system that grow and attach themselves to the chips. So these are electronic devices that are being implanted in human beings to control them through a type of mind control. So you've got all these folks out there. I can't say who is chipped and who isn't, but you've had a lot of people on your show. You've had this Michael Elligan, all these folks that some of them even claim they're not from this earth, that they're hybrids. Indeed, I believe they're telling the truth. You've got all these people that are conjuring up through various transcendental methods. You've got this guy, Dr. Stephen Greer, who was a graduate of the Maharishi Institute, and this guy admits in his book that he can conjure up Palladians and have them land in his backyard and go have conversations with them. I believe these people are all chipped. And and then you look at the alien abductions. It's a constant repeat. So they're constantly re-abducting the same people. They're bringing out little hybrid babies and they're having them hold them and coddle them. There's this soul scalping paradigm where they're harvesting soul energy from human beings. This stuff is really creepy, but that's the mystery of lawlessness, which is spoken of right here. And then it goes on to say, listen to this. It says, "And the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord will consume with his breath, and of his mouth and destroy with the brightness of his coming." The coming of the lawless one is according to the workings of Satan, which with all powers, signs, and lying wonders. And I'm going to skip ahead. Listen, this is critical. "And for this reason, God will send them a strong delusion that they should believe the lie." That lie is this concept that the Anunnaki are our creators. They're not our creators. Okay, Yahweh God, our Heavenly Father, injected Adam and Eve into the garden in Genesis 2:7. We are spirit breed. These aliens have been able to soul scalp, but they cannot capture the spirit. They have to drink the blood of mankind. These reptilians, they cannot maintain their shape as humans without drinking blood on a regular occasion. It's some pretty dark stuff. As a matter of fact, now might be a really good time to play those clips that I gave you earlier, because this is some pretty jaw-dropping testimony.
Okay, all right. We do have those clips available here, and what John the Baptist is talking about. So everybody stop talking in the live chat. Don't send in questions, and pay attention to this audio we're getting ready to play. Here we go, guys.
When the victims are starting to be sacrificed, it's the scent of the blood. And they start shape-shifting at that point in time. And they can hardly wait to get to the blood. It's like they're addicted to the blood. And then the consumption of human flesh.
Okay, wow. Now we're going to go ahead and play clip 2 there, John.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here's clip 2.
And consume human flesh.
There are certain times when they will actually do a sacrifice, or there will have been someone doing a sacrifice, and it's not happening fast enough for them. So they will step in and finish it themselves, because the ritual has to be gone through this. It's sacrificially, I mean, ritualistically, it has to have been gone through, and they will step right in and just start tearing the throat out, and they're getting all this blood from the jugular vein at the same time, and that has happened when there are many there that are going to be sacrificed, and they just can't wait, and tearing into the contents of the.
John, that was very disturbing. There, the lady there, how did she come about this information that these aliens get into reptilians sort of get into like a feeding frenzy, and they've got to go for the jugular vein and start chewing and gnawing and drinking blood? Was she a first-hand observer or what?
Yeah, indeed she was. That's testimony directly from a woman who goes by the alias of Arizona Wilder. And she was a mind control slave that was raised, just like Kathleen O'Brien was, in Transformation of America. That's the book where she had testified of seeing, George W. Bush shapeshift into a reptilian. Arizona Wilder was raised from a very young age, and you can listen to the Savali testimony. That's Svali, that's out on the internet. She was a trainer for the Illuminati, and she explains how they go through this process of training. Wilder also goes, the description of how they do this really, really dark MK Ultra style mind control, where they compartmentalize the mind of their victims by traumatizing them at a very young age. And she was raised specifically for the purpose of being a mother goddess over reptilian sacrificial ceremonies, where she had seen Representative Byrd, Senator Byrd, who recently passed away. She had seen, of course, the royalty from the Windsors shapeshift. You've got, of course, the testimony of Christine Fitzgerald that is just absolutely jaw-dropping, which I have here. These things, they're spoken of all throughout the Scripture. They're referred to as the sons of Belial. Those would be the hybrid offspring of these entities. It's the serpent seed line that tracks all the way back to the garden. But again, the reason why this is so important is because this is the essence of what we're dealing with right now. You've got testimony where these channelers out there who are talking to the Pleiadians, probably chipped people, probably have been abducted in the past. These people are saying that this Nibiru is a type of prison planet. Okay, and I would even maintain that Revelation 9, which speaks about the locusts that come upon the earth, that inflict pain and sting men like scorpions for up to 5 months, that these things are mantis-like creatures that are released from this abyss or this prison planet. You've got testimony here. I've got here on page 67 of this book. It says, the reptilians, a genetics akin to reptiles. These are highly advanced entities, but viewed as being a negative, hostile, or dangerous disposition, since they regard humans as a totally inferior race. They would perceive us much the way that we would perceive a herd of cattle. They are carnivorous in regard to humans. There is supposedly a driven planetoid or asteroid inhabited by 30 million of these lizard folk that is to enter our solar system in the mid-90s. This tracks back to the fact that we've got Leo, the star system, the Leo star system, Orion, the Draco star system, where the Draconians are supposedly located. These are the Great Pyramids in Giza and Angkor, which is in Cambodia, Japan. The ones that are the ancient pyramids that are underwater off the coast of Cuba. All of these pyramids are in the same alignment and shape as the Orion Sirius, Draco, and Leo constellations or star systems, and and then you have the Sphinx, which is of course a type of a lion, and right now it currently points to the Taurus or the bull, the Taurus star system. And what's interesting is that if the Earth was flipped 180 degrees, the Sphinx would actually be pointing toward Leo, warning people ultimately that these things are returning from the Leo star system. And that's exactly where Elenin, the comet Elenin, and also, I use the term comet very loosely. Of course, Richard Hoagland says it's not, it's a driven, there's a lot of different claims regarding it. And then you've got Nibiru. So Nibiru and Elenin, both of these objects, arguably the red and blue star Kachina, spoken of in the the ancient Hopi prophecies, they came from the Leo star system. So and now, like I mentioned on the last show, Google.com/sky, type in Leo for a search, and then or Mercury, and then just click the infrared button and scroll to the right a little bit, and you'll see this thing. As long as you got the infrared turned on, because it's a brown dwarf. It's supposedly minus 243 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit.
Zen Garcia, is there a planet called Nibiru that's heading our way?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's confirmed
how long? Okay,
all through the different texts.
All right, now, so how long is it going to take for that planet to get here?
Well, it's already here, and supposedly, and me and John have been doing a number of shows on this, breaking this information, because I found a quote from the Colburn Bible that mentions two sky monsters, one following directly behind the other one, and how it eats its trail. And if this is indeed correct, John and I are guessing that this object is behind what we are dealing with as far as Comet Elenin. And Comet Elenin is already interacting within the interior of our solar system and is already at its closest point to the sun. And we're supposed to be crossing over the path of this particular comet October 16th. And if the Hopi prophecies are correct, the blue star, red star, Hopi Kachina prophecies, and also if the Colburn Bible is correct, then there's this Nibiru is following Elenin. And if that's the case, and we're supposed to go and cross over the dust trail of Elenin October 16th, then we could possibly be interacting with Nibiru as close as a month from now.
Well, let me ask you. There's a lot of internet chatter going on. My inbox got filled with about 10 notices from my peeps around the world. But is there some sort of false flag event coming up September 27th where the United States is supposed to be running a DEFCON 1 security test, and Obama's going to go to an underground military base underneath Denver Airport? Have you heard that?
I think you should let John touch on this one. I think he's probably got more info on it than I do.
What you got on that? Do we got a DEFCON 1 coming up, false flag?
Okay, so supposedly that's the point where this Elenin cluster, some say it's got an entourage of alien vehicles traveling with it that are cloaked. It's hard to say for sure. And supposedly Elenin reaches a point where it becomes where it's in alignment with Venus, and Venus rotates. It actually moves through our solar system in an opposite rotation of the rest of the planets, and because of that, there's what is arguably what Dr. Hoagland would refer to as a hyperdimensional torsion effect. You could call it an electromagnetic vortex that will occur because the Sun, Venus, Elenin, and Earth will all be in alignment around about September the 26th. Now, what's really interesting is it's not just that, surprisingly or whatever, coincidentally, that Obama is supposed to be in Denver, where, by the way, I say is a large underground alien demon breeding facility. The Denver airport, if you look at it from above, if you go to tribulation-now.org and you search on alien demon breeding facility, you'll see an article I wrote there, and you'll see the photograph of it. It's in the shape of a swastika from above the runways, and the roads that surround the Denver airport actually have names associated with human reproductive system parts, and there's a particular road that is in the shape of a, kind of a human or a male member. Now, so it's obvious, and then it's no secret that you got these deep underground bases all over the world, magneto-leviton trains that are connecting them all together. Don't get me going on Dulcie, that's a whole nother thing. And he's going out there on the 27th, and then we find out that there was an announcement that NASA's top officials are meeting, believe it or not, in Denver around about the same time for some type of a convention.
Very suspicious indeed. Need Viagra because, and these guys were animals type of things, and I don't even know how they got the I don't know what the other end of it was, how's, a 4-foot thing go wherever it's going, So, but why don't they, is that type of information, if it wasn't necessary, would it, even the Catholics didn't take it out. You know what I'm saying? They didn't alter it and say, that was the Pope, he's the guy or whatever, how they do. But, they left it in there. What would be the purpose? Shouldn't regular run-of-the-mill churchgoers know that?
Yeah, those that do their homework and actually do some research and actually read the Bible and have an open mind over what it says. There's all kind of things that are
viewers and listeners of this program. We have some really committed, Christians and some really committed atheists and people in between, all over the spectrum. We try to keep the show that way. We're an equal opportunity offender here, but but for those in the dogmatic sense, they probably have never ever heard that in their weekly sermon. That there were some guys that did
revealed through the Word. Even the fact that giants, that all throughout the Word we have an account of the existence of giants. These 6-fingered double rows of teeth, these 8-foot up to 15, and even prior to the flood they were much taller.
Even, and again, there's a lot of orgy type things you're describing here, but doesn't the Bible, just the plain old Bible, doesn't it talk about enlarged members or members the size of horses?
Yes, it does actually.
So for those that are, I know that we have a mixture of